Hey, this is Ryan with Mama on Mission, and today I thought I would share with you my top 5 homeschool struggles. I know I hear from a lot of people talking about how they would like to homeschool or they've just started homeschooling and are facing some things that they didn't realize they would face or are afraid they're going to face in the future if they do homeschool. And I just wanted to make this video to let you know that, it is a commitment, it is work, and there are going to be struggles. But it doesn't have to be a bad experience. Work is not always bad. Work oftentimes is good, and the reward is good, but there are going to be things that you're going to come up against, and you're just going to have to work around them. And it's definitely a sanctifying process. You find out a lot about yourself and some areas you need to work on. You find out a lot about your kids and some things they need to work on. You find out what types of things work for them and what types of things don't, and what types of things work for you and what types of things don't. Um, there's just a lot of growing pains, and there's definitely a learning curve. Um, and it does get easier in some ways, and in some ways, it's just a year by year, let's figure it out. Um, so, just to be encouraging and transparent, I just thought I would share my top 5 struggles. And to be honest, these really all boil down to one main struggle, and that is my perfectionist tendencies, my feeling that I have to do it all and nothing less than that. Um, but I thought I would break it up into 5 different sections, but you'll definitely see a common thread through all these. So these are in no specific order, but my first issue is comparison. And I know a lot of mamas struggle with this. You look at either another homeschool family, or you look at maybe a family member or a friend who is in public school, and you look and see that, oh, they're in kindergarten and they're doing XYZ. And, my kid's not quite doing that. It's really easy for me to look at other kids and how well they read or don't read, or how good their handwriting is, or how good they are at art, even. And I want my kid to be the best. And that's pride, really. And that is, I don't know, a not good competitive spirit. But I want myself and my kids to be the best we can be. But I'm learning that we can't all be the best at everything all the time. So I also, compare what other homeschoolers are doing as far as subjects, and feel like, oh, well, I'm not doing cursive writing this year, or I'm not doing art appreciation, or whatever it may be. And then I get really um, like, I start comparing, like, oh, well, should I be doing that? Do I need to be doing that? And then I want to add stuff in. Well, then it just, you don't have the time and the space to do everything every year. And I also look at other people's schedules and think, wow, I really wish that my schedule was like that. I really wish that we got all of our school done before lunch. I really wish that we did, whatever they do in their schedule. But my family is not their family. Our rhythms are not their rhythms. We aren't involved in the same activities. Your homeschool schedule is not going to look like anyone else's. So comparison is my number one, like, killer of joy, pretty much. And number 2, I already kind of mentioned this, but like I said, they all tie together. Doing too much. I really want to just cover every subject every year, and that is not feasible. And if you look at public school, they don't cover every subject every year. They might cover something from most subjects, but they're not doing it all the time. And there's a reason, and it's because you can't, if you want them to actually retain anything. And then I even will look at my curriculum, and I want to do every single lesson. And then I'll look at each lesson, and I want to do every single part of every single lesson, and you cannot do that. It's just too much. Like, if you did every piece of curriculum in every single subject that you were doing to a perfect T, you would just be burnt out, I have a feeling. At least with the curriculum I use. I don't know, maybe there's curriculum out there that you wouldn't be. But number 3, my next struggle is with scheduling. I still, all these years later, am having a hard time finding out what works best with, kind of the happy medium between what works best for me and what works best for my kids. I've mentioned this several times before. I want to get up, do school right away, and then have the afternoon to do chores and to do extracurricular stuff and, all that. My boys don't work that way, and I'm having a hard time with that. When they were littler, I could talk them into getting their school done, and then after lunch, they had the afternoon to do some chores and then have the rest of the afternoon free. And now they don't work that way, and I've got to try to find that medium, where they're not burnt out and I'm not stressed out. So I still do struggle with that, and it really changes a little bit each year, though, depending on the different things that we're doing with extracurriculars and stuff. So it's a constant struggle. And then number 4, this kind of ties into number 2 about doing too much, but I am a curriculum slave at times. I tend to lean toward, but the curriculum says do it this way, this way, and this way. And it's so silly because I'm like, a huge reason why I homeschool is so that I can teach things how my kids need them to be taught. I can tailor the curriculum to kind of what we need it to be. And even if you love a curriculum, you don't have to do it exactly how they say, because no matter what, the curriculum, even though it's a homeschool curriculum, it's still meant for a set mass of students. They didn't tailor it to your kids specifically. They tailored it to homeschool students, but not your individual child. So you really just have to be willing to be flexible, which I just put a video out about that, and stray from the curriculum if you need to, or skim over something if you need to. And I found this a lot with Saxon. We are huge Saxon lovers around here for math. It is a scripted curriculum, which I love, because if there's something that I'm not really sure how to teach it, I just have to read what they say and do what they do, and my boys get it. But then I realized, okay, but if I know an easier way to teach that, or if I know a way that my kids are going to understand better, I don't have to use their script. I don't have to use every example that they give. And, if my son has it after the first example, I don't have to do the 10 extra examples that they have. Like, I can just teach it until he gets it and then move on. I was wasting so much time trying to do it to a T, and it was just like pointless. Like, he wasn't learning it any better because I was doing that. But then there's times when he's not getting a subject and I need to do all those examples and I need to say it just like they say. And that works out great. But most of the time I don't need to do it exactly how they say to do it, and I could save myself a lot of breath and a lot of time. And my 5th issue that I have is attitudes. These are both my attitudes that I get and my kids' attitudes. I used to be a preschool teacher, and things would go wrong there just like they do at home. And, when things weren't going how you expected them to, you might get flustered and kind of upset, but you kept your professional, cool demeanor because you were at work and you were with children that were not your own. And at home, we kind of, it's a curse and a blessing. You are with your own family, so you're really comfortable, which is great. Except sometimes, instead of just, letting your guard down and whatever, you go too far the other way and you don't hold any sort of restraint, and your kid won't listen and you yell at them. Whereas, as a preschool teacher, obviously I didn't yell at my kids in my classroom. So sometimes I can have a bad attitude if, I had this plan in my head for the day, and whether it be just things that happen or my kids' disobedience, things don't go according to plan, I can get real snippy, and that's a problem that I've seen in my own heart. Like I said, this is a sanctifying process. So, and then I also, there's times when my kids give me grief over doing school. Um, there's times when it's because, like, we need to change some stuff up and it's just not working. But there's a lot of times when they would just rather be playing Legos, or they would just rather be watching TV, or they would rather be outside. And I give ample time for all those things. But, there's a time to do school. And sometimes when they want to do school and when I want to do school, it's not the same. So I've just had to take time and get to the heart of whoever's giving the attitude, whether it's me or my kids, and figure out what the actual problem is and deal with it accordingly, because you're in this for the long haul, and it's not a preschool. Your kids don't go home at the end of the day. They are home. And so it's important to check your attitudes at the door and deal with them head on and restore peace to your home, so that you can have a successful homeschool day. So those are my struggles, and I would love to know if you struggle with any of these same things, or maybe something else that I didn't mention has been your issue. And I'd just like to talk to you about that and see if I'm alone here with this, need to be perfect. And there is no such thing, right? So I thank you so much for watching, and I will talk to you next time. Bye.